All right, so what is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be doing kind of a part two of a video that was pretty popular about a year or so ago, and it's a nice kind of update video to see how things have changed storage-wise on my 7th generation iPad. So I'm sure all of you know, if you have a base iPad, it only comes with 32 gigabytes of storage. Now, in 2020 and also in 2021, hearing only 32 gigs of storage is kind of surprising, but I just wanted to show you how I have all my applications, how much room they take up, and what is actually taking up the most room on my device. And this kind of gives you an idea, is it a good idea to buy a 32 gig iPad in 2021? Will they ever change to 64 gigs? I mean, that's what it definitely needs to be, but anyways, this gives you an idea in case you're considering purchasing this device. Okay, so I want to first go ahead and say this. Currently on my iPad, I have 18 photos, which really isn't a big deal because of Apple's new smaller photo sizes, their new file system they use for that. I can't think of the name right now. Oh yeah, HEIC photos. So that takes up a lot less room, not a big deal. And second, I have 25 applications installed on this iPad. So 25 apps. Now, if we take a look at this area right up here, you can see that it says 18.6 gigs of 32 used. So that means I have what, about 13-ish gigabytes remaining on this device. And I like how Apple does this. They give you a nice little color-coded system here to let you know what is taking up the most room. So these smaller areas right here are not taking up that much room. And that's things like messages, photos, iCloud Drive, and other media. I don't have any videos or movies on this device. So all that stuff is relatively small, as you can see right there. Now we take a look at these other three chunks here. This red one here is obviously applications. So yes, applications do take up a pretty good amount of room. It would be nice to actually have this tallied up in this area, like how much room apps are actually taking. But you can see that it's taking a pretty good chunk right here. But here's the main issue with a 32 gig iPad. It's system storage and other storage. So what is the difference between these two? So system storage is basically all of your iOS files, so everything you need to make iOS function properly. And other is, well, it's always difficult to know what other actually is. I see things, I've tried to look it up. Some say it's like caches and Safari related items and things like that, but there's no way to actually delete other storage. And when I first got this iPad, I was kind of panicked because when I restored it from a backup, every bit of my storage, I'm talking like 20 gigs of storage, was actually from other storage. And I was kind of panicked, right? Because I couldn't delete it or anything like that. But I will tell you this, eventually the other storage deletes itself automatically. So one day I noticed that it was all gone, but now you can see that it's kind of on the climb again. And if we scroll down, because this is a question that I get all the time, you can see at the bottom what makes up system storage and what makes up other storage. And at the moment, 6.32 gigabytes is composed of system storage. Now again, those are iOS files. This is absolutely required for your iPad to function properly. So there you go, think about this. Your 32 gig iPad only has about, what, a 26 gigabyte capacity out of the box. And this number, I can definitely tell you, it grows with every major update. Not necessarily like a minor iOS update, but like if you went from iOS 13 to 14, this number definitely grows by like a gigabyte or so over time. So think about that. And next up, there's the other storage. You can see at the moment, this is 6.2 gigabytes, right? Now, that means what? I got about 12 gigs of storage I can't even use because of these two items right here. If I tap on the other, I just remembered, it tells you what it is. So caches, logs, and other resources. This value will fluctuate over time based on your system needs. And then if you go into your system storage, you can see that it says system files and your iOS version right there. So yeah, these two items don't change. So expect your new iPad to take up around 6 gigs of storage automatically at the moment. And then this number down here, like I said, it fluctuates. Yours may not be 6 gigs. Yours might be much lower or much higher. But this does delete itself over time if your storage gets full. As far as individual applications go, it really depends. So for example, if we look at some of these, we notice like Twitter is pretty high at the moment, 600 something megabytes. But that's because Twitter caches a lot of things, like a lot of images and stuff to make your timeline smoother. So these numbers on these apps, they also fluctuate over time. So Twitter really is probably only, I don't know, like a couple 100 megabyte application, but because of its cache, it is much higher at the moment. Also, something else to keep in mind, if you do a lot of texting, you're gonna have a lot of space taken up by attachments through text messages. So if people send you a lot of images or other things, those are remembered in your messages app, even if you are in iCloud messages. So if you store your messages in the cloud, it'll still take up space on your device just for that quick access of images. So that's another way you can kind of delete some of your storage, but it's also another consideration. If you get sent a lot of images, you might have to delete that stuff frequently. It's a good thing in settings though, you can choose to delete text after like 30 days. So that can help you right there. But let's just get to the final point here. Is it okay or is it doable with a 32 gig iPad in 2021? So the answer, I think at the moment, it's still yes. You just need to consider how many applications you actually are going to have. If you're the kind of person to have hundreds of apps, well, then this is not for you. But if you're the kind of person to have, you know, not too many apps, I mean, you could probably still do it with 40 or 50 apps. But you just need to keep in mind what apps you're going to be using. If you're only going to need a few apps, I have so many comments on my last 2020 version of this video. People are like, I have this app, and this app. Is 32 gigs going to be enough? Well, yeah, it's going to be just fine. A lot of people ask about Procreate. You're going to be just fine. You might want to consider how many layers your drawings are going to be, but at the end of the day, this is a lot more doable than people actually think it is. And with more stuff moving to cloud storage, you know, I know there's a lot of people out there that probably access their documents in something like Dropbox or Google Drive or iCloud Drive. That stuff's not going to be stored on your iPad. Same with photos. Most people back up their photos to clouds now. So a lot of stuff is cloud-based, and that's why this is a popular iPad for school systems, because they just buy a bunch of these, they get a good deal if you buy a lot, and they can use them no problem. All the Google-based apps that schools use, those are in the cloud. So 32 gig iPad, I think it's really doable. The thing that's going to scare you though is that system storage and the other storage. So just remember, system storage, you can't delete. Other storage, it will delete by itself eventually. But yeah guys, that's a quick update on my iPad situation, my 32 gigabyte situation here. Let me know in the comments, do you have a 32 gig iPad? Are you making it work? Or are you considering getting one and you want to know a little bit more about it? But anyways guys, thanks for watching as always. I'll catch you on the next video.